But before we get into all the good, the bad, and the ugly, let me give a little bit of plot of what this movie is about. This movie tells a story about a mysterious death that happened at a camp called Camp Crystal Lake, and someone is there killing the camp counselors because the someone just so happens to be connected to the person who died at the camp. What's up, HELLRAISERS? Welcome back to another video. Welcome to the beginning and the start of my Friday the 13th review series. That's right, we're going to be reviewing every single Friday the 13th movie, and that does include Freddy vs. Jason. The only reason I did not review Freddy vs. Jason with my Nightmare on Elm Street review is because I wanted to get to Friday the 13th first. And so that way I can kind of, tie the pieces together, make it make more sense, right? That's really the whole concept of this, to try to make it make more sense. So I wanted to get to Friday the 13th. Then I'm going to rank Nightmare on Elm Street with the Freddy vs. Jason, then rank it again with the whole Friday the 13th. So with all that being said, let's get into today's video. To kick things off with my first pro, I would have to honestly say the whole POV shot. If you don't know, this movie was shot with POV shots. We don't really know who's doing all the killing. And so I've always admired the movie for that. I've always appreciated this movie for that. It's because not seeing who's doing it make my imagination run wild. But still, the whole POV shot, you see someone or something lurking in the shadow, watching somebody behind the tree, seeing some butt-naked girls along the way, seeing people jumping into the into Camp Crystal Lake river itself, and then just seeing people walking, but you don't know who's watching them. I've always admired the whole POV shots of that. And another pro for me, I would have to go with the whole backstory, like the lore of Jason. This boy drowned at this camp because of the camp counselor was not watching him, and now he's come back to kill them. I've liked the lore for so many years, and here I am watching it again, and I always appreciate that. However, the lore is very basic, and that's okay because I like basic things, but kind of make the overall idea, much crazier than what they got going for. But like the lore, the backstory of Jason in general, it's actually pretty good. My third pro, I would have to, y'all knew I was going to say this, practical effect is gold. It will always be gold, and especially in a movie like this, in the 80s. Tom Tevin, when you speak his name, it's like everyone in the horror community knows that name, Tom Tevin. But honestly, the practical effect in this movie is aged like fucking wine. It looks good, and I love it for that. However, a lot of people will probably say, oh, it don't age well. Then you might be so used to digital effects or some CGI glow effects, and I'm not a fan of it. Give me practical effects any day. But still, I love it, and I appreciate the movie for that, because many, many years later, I would have sworn this movie was made yesterday. And another pro for me, I would have to go the 80s. Just the whole 80s nostalgia, the atmosphere, the aesthetic of the 80s set in this movie. I love the 80s. If y'all don't know, I am a fucking 80s fanatic, even though I was born in 92, but I am an 80s fanatic. I know everything. So the 80s aesthetic itself has always admired the shit out of me. I've always loved the 80s aesthetic, the landscape of how they shot this movie in the woods. It looked and feel like I'm right there with the character. And another pro, just a small pro, Kevin Bacon's in the film. There you go. And another pro for me, and my final pro, I would have to say, this might be pretty controversial to say, even though I am not no Friday the 13th fanatic. I'm more of a Nightmare on Elm Street fanatic, but I would have to say, Pamela Voorhees is far more scarier and effective than Jason Voorhees. Yeah, I have to admit, because especially at the end, when you spoil, if you haven't seen this movie, what the hell. But at the end, we found out it was Jason Voorhees' mother, Pamela Voorhees, which was played by Betty Palmer. Honestly, the performance she gives, that innocent, sweet tone, old lady next door type vibe, and then she just flipped the switch and turned into the crazy, chaotic woman. I love it. She is far more scarier than Jason. I would have appreciated the movie even more if the next movie would have been all about her, because she did a fantastic job with her performance as Pamela Voorhees. And my only con that I have with this movie, there's something that bugged me when I was a kid, when I first watched it and all these years later, is I hate the characters. I don't like none of the characters in the movie. They're very typical bland character with no flavor to them. You can clearly see all these characters are here just for Pamela Voorhees to fuck them up. That's all it is. And not to mention the fact that you want me to believe that that's the old lady that's that strong doing some of these kills in the movie. That's beyond me. But still, the characters are very bland. There's nothing special about these characters. You don't really care about the characters. You just want to see Jason fuck some people up. And that's exactly what you get. But I've always hated these characters. So anyway, HELLRAISERS, that's going to wrap up your review for the very first Friday the 13th from 1980. Please stay tuned for all the rest of them and so much more. And remember, if you want to get in touch with your boy, social media link will always be in the description box down below. And just remember, make sure you drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on that fucking bell notification so that when I drop another lit video for the channel, you'll be the first ones to get it. And remember, stay creepy, stay spooky, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.